It's Monday, October 19th, 2009, and this is what the Toronto Star looks like. Although I'm not interested in the Toronto Star at this point, I'm more interested in a column written by Joe Fiorito back on September 24th, I believe it was. And it's about a story about a man, Al Gosling, 82, who was evicted from the Toronto Community Housing Corporation. And so this is the September article informing us. And then he was kicked out onto the streets. Let me think. He spent some nights in a stairwell before he got kicked out of that. Eventually had to go into a shelter. And it said that from home to shelter and then to the hospital. And we find out in this article, unfortunately, I don't think it gives a date, does it? This is October the 10th, though. I'm surprised that it doesn't give a date. October the 10th, it says that he was on life support. And it wasn't much later after that than the Toronto Star writes an editorial that Al Gosling died over the Thanksgiving weekend. And I'm just going to go over here to Google, and I'm going to type in the Toronto Housing Corporation. And when you look at it, you get some idea about these people in the following way. If you look on October the 9th, now that Al Gosling would have been in the hospital by then. Remember, October the 10th, there's an article saying that he's on life support. And what do the Toronto Housing Corporation website have posted for October the 9th? It says Toronto Community Housing wins Canada's Top Employer Award for 2010. And we'll click on that. So as Al Gosling is on life support, these people proudly announce that they've won Top Employer 2 years in a row. Let's read. On October the 8th, 2009, the Toronto Community Housing was publicly recognized as one of Canada's top 100 employers for 2010 by Maclean's magazine. This is the second year in a row we have recognized for our commitment to a safe and healthy workplace, blah, 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 but it gets here. Through the tireless efforts of the Healthy Workplace and the joint health and safety teams, we continue to improve the health and well-being of our staff each and every day. And then it lists some of the achievements, but down here, this is a real killer. Here are some of the benefits that were part of the reason why Toronto Community Housing was selected as a top 100 employer for 2010. Provides excellent parental leave, top-up benefits to adoptive new mothers to 93% salary for 52 weeks, as well as new fathers to 93% of salary for 37 weeks. Offers employee generous, compassionate care leave, top-up benefits up to 93% for 8 weeks. Recently introduced a new healthy workplace plan, whose initiatives include an employees walking club, free health clinics, and lunch and learn lessons on a variety of wellness topics. Starts new employees at 3 weeks vacation. Offers a variety of in-house training. Oh yeah, well I know about in-house training from the City of Mississauga Corporate Security in-house training. Initiatives and supports continuing education through tuition subsidies to $1,000 for courses at outside institutions. Well, la-di-da. Yeah, right. Anyway, so that's October the 8th. They won the award. 9th, they posted it to the internet, and I guess by the 10th, you've got this article that Al Gosling is on life support. Going back to this, by October the 13th, there's Toronto Community Housing announces independent review of tenant death. Now, what's interesting about that is their concept of independent. And they talk about great sadness and how important social housing is, you know, the usual. I love the part, Toronto Community Housing is an open, transparent organization. We have made a commitment to review the sad situation to ensure the organization is doing everything it can to make every tenancy a successful tenancy. especially for vulnerable tenants. And then it says afterwards, quoting the CEO, "It is my hope that," love this, "independent third-party review will shed a light on the response to Mr. Gosling's situation, as well as a broader policy, legislative, and regulatory factors that need to be considered. The leader of the review will be announced in the near future." This is going to be really interesting because, far as I can see, we all Ontarians have a third-party independent review that they really trust. It's the Ontario Ombudsman's Office. If these people, the Toronto Housing Commission, are selecting their own independent reviewer and selecting the leader of the review, I'm sorry, it's not third-party, and well, so much for their commitment to open transparency as well as to vulnerable tenants. So anyway, Toronto Community, and there's the logo, and stating here that they've won this 2 years in a row. So the employees have splendid conditions, and this is an article by Toronto Star columnist about Al Gosling, and he details, it isn't just Al Gosling. The writer also mentions, here, right here's good. "Now let me take a long view of such sadness." Now he's talking about Al Gosling's death here. "It is sad that Janos Buda died in his Toronto Housing Corporation apartment and was not found for 6 months. It is sad that Dirty George lived for years in filth before he also died. It is sad that no one helped that poor woman who, for months, wandered the halls of her apartment building covered in her own waste. It is sad that the woman whose apartment was flooded with several inches of raw sewage did not get immediate help. And yes, it is sad that Lorraine Misurka was handed a notice of eviction not long before Al died. Finally, it is enduringly sad that many of the Toronto Community Housing Corporation buildings are falling apart, and many of those buildings are infested with bedbugs, rats, roaches, and mice." And he says, "I've had a belly full of sadness." Now, to the people and the employers who won the Top 100 Employer Award for 2 years in a row, congratulations.